Good evening. Good evening. Sunday night football. Obviously, it's not Sunday night football yet, but we're talking about it. We are talking about it. Shout out to you guys for rocking with us tonight. We're going through our predictions. We are not done. We still have our 32 and 31 going. We cover all 32 teams in 31 days. Tonight, it's going to be the Packers, Texans, and the Colts, ladies and gentlemen. So obviously, make sure that you do hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, do subscribe, click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream. So yeah, we're on to these Packers who definitely changed some things around, had a wonderful season, ended up in the postseason, and I think shocked and amazed us in beating the Cowboys. Also, the Texans getting into the postseason. CJ Stroud having a very, very interesting year, doing great for this team. And then obviously the Colts, right? Anthony Richardson goes down. We think that all is lost. Gardner Minshew then steps up, and we've seen some amazing stuff last season. But hey, we're now on to the next season, and we'll get into the predictions for you guys. Shout out to Purple. What up, Purple? Let's go. Purple in the house. Cameron, what up, yo? What's going on with you, bro? How you doing tonight? Cameron in the building. So yeah, James Bottoms, what's up, yo? How y'all doing on a Sunday night? So yeah, I wanted to get into these three teams. Now, I think the first part of this, as we start off with Green Bay, is really just understanding what Matt LaFleur has not only been able to do with Aaron Rodgers leaving, in respect to getting somebody who was ready, getting someone who sat behind Aaron Rodgers and, really molded and developed him and took the time to make sure that this was the guy for the job. And I do appreciate Matt LaFleur for that because, they could have gave up. They could have, changed some things around and decided to go a different direction. But they chose to stick with Jordan Love, and it's been so far so good. I like it. So let's go ahead and get into it. But as far as your stats, right, coming into this season, Jordan Love had 4,159 yards. Obviously, we know Aaron Jones is gone, so the stats kind of don't matter. But hey, they got Josh Jacobs, right? And I think he's kind of like the same running back. We'll see how that goes, though. But then you had Reed with 793 yards. As far as your tackles, Walker had 118. Just looking at Love stats as a whole, 372 completions on 579 attempts. He had a 64.2% completion percentage. He averaged 7.2 on the yards, as long with 77, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 30 sacks. Listen, I'm not mad. This is what you'd be looking for out of a quarterback who's now stepping into the role of taking over this team and getting to the postseason. I think the Green Bay Packers fans should be, without a doubt, excited. I think without a doubt they should be happy about this moving forward because it looks promising. Then obviously, you've got Clifford as well, still with the team, so you still got some help there if needed. Like I said, Jones is gone, but you still have Dylan, right? Dylan is strong. Back, definitely put some power in his step. Very hard to bring that man down, and he's good. He's good to get you on those short runs, and definitely, without a doubt, will be an asset to this team like he has. Then, of course, last year, looking at the receiving, right? You had Reed, who's been absolute stud, 64 receptions, 94 targets, 793 yards. He had 8 touchdowns. Dobbs, absolutely phenomenal as well. 59 receptions, 96 targets, 674 yards, 8 touchdowns. Wicks had 4. Watson had 5. I mean, this is great. This is great for everything that Green Bay was looking for, and they were so afraid and they were so worried. And some people said, no, you know what? We're going to be fine. And the people that believed in that realized, what some of us didn't, because this team was able to survive with Aaron Rodgers moving on. And then look at that. Aaron Rodgers isn't playing. He's out for the season. And you've got a strong, dominant young team getting into the postseason. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal for the Green Bay Packers. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Mr. Fulton says, hello, everyone. I have big news. I'm celebrating my 25th golden birthday all this week of my big milestone celebration. Shout out to you, man. Let's go. Let's go. Congrats. Congrats. Ric Flair, where you at? Yeah, happy birthday, man. Gotti in the houses. I think the Chargers getting that new training facility. They're going to attract a lot of free agents. Okay. Gardaki says Packers are losing week 2. We're going to get to the predictions in a moment. Let me get through with my team breakdown first. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the depth chart. If I can. They trying to stop you, boy. Really? All right, we got to do it this way. They trying to make it all difficult for me. They're like, nope, we don't want you to do it. All right, let me get this fixed here. I just got to extend it on my screen just a little bit. There we go. All right, here we go. Bring that back in. Shout out to Gina coming through with the $10 super chat donation. Thank you for the $10 donation. Thank you for the love. I appreciate you. I appreciate the $10 donation. Gina holding it down for the night. Shout out to you, Wrench Gang in the building. So yeah, as far as the depth chart, right? You've got Jordan Love, obviously, Sean Clifford, then Michael Pratt. You then have Josh Jacobs coming over from the Raiders. Like I said, I think this is going to be kind of an even swap. I don't like what Green Bay did in regards to getting rid of Jones, who gave them a great year, and basically gave, this team his all. But hey, sometimes you got to move on. Green Bay decided to make a change. Josh Jacobs is here now. Like I said, you still have A.J. Dillon, and then obviously Marshawn Lloyd and Emmanuel Wilson. Your wide receiver group, like I said, absolutely phenomenal. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed. I think the chemistry that, Jordan Love has with this group of individuals is top tier. I think they're going to do great next year. Luke Musgrave showed that he has phenomenal talent as a tight end. And, I don't think there's really too much more you can expect out of this group and out of this team for who they have. And even the offensive line, right? You obviously got Harry Pearson, Rasheed Walker, Elgin Jenkins, Josh Myers, Sean Ryan, and, of course, Zach Tom. But this, offensive line gave Jordan Love plenty of time to make his decisions. Jordan Love, obviously, he did take some sacks, but for the most part during the season, he had the chance to actually play his game. He had the chance to actually play at the level that this team knew that he could because they actually believed him. So, yeah, getting into the defense, Preston Smith, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie, Jair Alexander, Javon Bullard, Xavier McKinney, Eric Stokes, Kessian Nixon. Listen, I think that coming into next season, this Green Bay team not only has some momentum coming into it, but they do have a solid roster as long as everyone can stay healthy that will be able to get the job done. Then moving on to the special teams, you got Anders Carlson, Daniel Whelan, Jaden Reed for your punt return, Kessian Nixon for the kick return, and then Matt Orzik for your long snapper. Let me hop in the chat real quick. Says Lisa says, hey Jay, my heart is broken to hear about Jacoby Jones passing away at 40. He won a Super Bowl with us. How does that make any sense? Yeah, rest in peace to Jacoby Jones. I seen it flash across my screen. I had some other stuff going on. It's sad. It really is sad. And I'll address this before we get into the predictions. It's really sad because things pop up so much now that it's almost like we've become numb to it. Somebody goes down, we lose somebody, it's all right, we sit there for a couple minutes and then we move on. The best thing to do is obviously just remember the good times, remember the significant moments that this player displayed on the field, because life is short. And I think at the end of the day, we all have to understand that and realize that and thank God that we have each day that we do. and appreciate it for sure because, we're showed that every day. We're showed that every day for sure. Tyrone, what up, man? What's going on with you? Fabian says Cowboys Super Bowl. Wow. Okay. Jay Thorne says, how would you rank the NFC North on potential for success this season? I get the Lions are elite and the Packers are great, but what's your ceiling for the Bears? Ain't no way the Vikes are going to be up. We covered the Bears a few days back, and I'll cover this before we get into the predictions for the Green Bay schedule. So we talked about the Bears and we went through everything as far as them. To be honest with you, I think the whole thing is going to rest on Caleb Williams. We broke everything down as far as from how their schedule looks, how it's not too challenging, but it will have its moments where, they're going to be tested. And then obviously with all the tools and all the personnel that Caleb Williams has, if you put a veteran quarterback on that team, you maybe have secured a potential wild card. I strongly believe in that offense. Your biggest X factor is obviously Caleb Williams and whether or not he's going to be able to perform up to task and play at the level he needs to take that team into the promised land. And I think that's the biggest problem. I think that's where we come to look at, okay, the Bears are always going to be the underdog considering what's happened over the years. Well, now you have so many significant changes. So what's going to happen from this point on? And is Caleb Williams that guy? Well, we thought about other people being that guy. We thought, hell, Mitch Trubisky was that guy. I'm saying that loosely. Somebody's going to raise some eyebrows. But some of you were definitely saying that Mitch Trubisky was that guy when he went to the Bears. And that's just the reality of it. I think Caleb Williams is in that same situation. I do think that he has a strong shot at getting this team together. But we felt the same way about Justin Fields. And I had Bears fans selling me on that too. It's tough. It's very tough. Now, I will say this, in Caleb Williams' favor, that, yeah, he does have a strong game. He can throw the ball. He is mobile. And he's had some significant moments that we've seen in college where, yeah, he was able to step up and do those Superman plays and have those big moments. But how that is going to translate into real game time and on an NFL field is what's going to determine whether or not he's ready. And we'll just have to see that come this season. Forrest, what up, yo? What's going on with you? Gardaki, what up, man? Daniel says, yo, what up, yo? Fabian says Lamar Jackson is Willie Beeman. Not Willie Beeman, yo. All right, let's go ahead and get to this to the schedule, ladies and gentlemen. Packers 2024. They're going to start off against the Eagles. Now, obviously, this is going to be a Peacock game. It's on Friday as well. I'm going to talk to you guys about, the streams and all that kind of stuff. We'll get into that later, but it's kind of crazy this season. It's going to be wild. But with that said, obviously, week one, it's going to be on Friday night on Peacock. Obviously, I'm going to have this, so we'll be streaming it here and having a good time like we always do. But yeah, I've been talking about the Eagles and how I'm not sure that Jalen Hurts is really, going to put up those same kind of stats and really have that same kind of game level that these Eagles have had. I think, the end of last season really showed us, is this team an elite team that's going to play up to par for a full season? I don't see that because when they start off strong, things end up going wrong towards the end of the season. It would be most likely in their best opportunity to have a season where, yeah, you take your bumps and bruises and then you finish strong, because starting off so strong for them obviously did not work out last year. And yes, you could talk about Hurts getting sick and different people getting, injured and all that kind of stuff. Sure. But I think at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts at the end where it mattered the most really, really couldn't complete what he needed to. And that's go out there and finish the job. So yeah, I think in this one, it's going to be a great battle. I do think that the Eagles will have some good moments, but I think, with this defense, they're going to figure out Jalen Hurts. That tush push is not going to be able to save him all the time. And I think the chemistry behind the Green Bay Packers is going to be a lot stronger than the Eagles. So I'm going to take Green Bay on week one. Week two is going to be good as well because obviously you've got Anthony Richardson coming back, and this Colts team is going to be fired up and ready. This is another one where I think it's going to be a true dogfight. I think the defense is going to probably play the biggest part of this. But I could see Anthony Richardson definitely trying to light things up in Green Bay. Sunday 1:00 game. I think that may be more of a 50-50, but I will lean more towards Green Bay as well, just because it's Anthony Richardson coming back off of an injury. It's going to be hit or miss. Is he ready to go? Is he fired up? Is he focused? Is he not too worried about the injury? Is it bothering him? All that kind of stuff. Coming into Green Bay against a strong team, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight. I will give the Colts the benefit of the doubt, but I think Green Bay is definitely going to take this one as well. Next after that, it's going to be Tennessee, right? They're going to Tennessee. Will Levis and company, I would say that Tennessee is a new team, right? We understand it's a new team. We understand that everything that, was going on with them losing Derrick Henry, defensive changes, everything's changed with the Titans right now. So, yeah, you've got Will Levis coming in. He's going to have a full season himself, so I do think he's going to be developing things and trying to get something going with his team. I'm going to take Green Bay here in a strong defeat. I just don't think that Will Levis is ready for that defense, let alone the defense against Green Bay. Next after that's Minnesota, right? You got J.J. McCarthy, which everyone's saying, well, he may not start. It may start off with, Sam Darnold, and we'll have to go from there. I'm not trying to make the Vikings fans mad tonight, but listen, we know. We know y'all upset about Kirk leaving, and Sam Darnold is not that guy. He is not that guy. I tell you this, I would like to see J.J. McCarthy in this game. I think it'd be a very, very good battle with the Vikings defense against Jordan Love, and then obviously the Green Bay defense going up against J.J. McCarthy. I think this could be, a Hollywood level game if that actually happens that way. With that said, I think if Sam Darnold's playing, I'm going to give this to Green Bay. I just don't think Sam Darnold's going to have anything really good for the defense. You put JJ in there, I think things may shake up a little bit. I do think that, he may try to rise to the occasion, make a name for himself. This could be a very strong game. So that's my take on that one. Next after that, it's going to be week 5. That's against the Rams, right? So we know that Matt Stafford is not going to be, playing his best game. Like I've been saying before, he's at a level where I think, he still has his arm. He still has the grit, the fight, the determination to go out there and win. But at the same time, he's not going to be playing like himself. And, that comes with age. That comes with, getting knocked around. And that's just, one of the things that aging quarterbacks deal with. Now, that's not to say that he won't have some games where he completely balls out and everyone's just sitting here on the edge of our seat like, yo, Matt Stafford did it again, because he can do it. But I do think, the younger teams definitely, poses a significant challenge for older veteran quarterbacks because they're faster. These guys are moving a lot faster. And then, you don't get those gimme plays like you would normally get against, a team that's a little older, the other veterans, and they understand your play schemes and stuff like that. Things are going to change for the Rams. And yeah, I think this would be a good one as well. I think on the flip side, Jordan Love will be tested by the Rams defense. So we'll just have to see how this one goes. But I think I have to, go ahead and give it to Green Bay on this. I will. Next after that, it's going to be the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, we've been talking about this team. Obviously, we know that, they had an amazing pickup at wide receiver. But is that going to matter if Kyler Murray hasn't decided to drop the controller and pick up the playbook? So, and this is at week 6. Now, obviously, you guys know that we do our predictions week by week as the season starts as well. So things could change. We could have a better idea as far as Kyler Murray and, where this Arizona Cardinals team is, because there were some games last year that the Cardinals did win that was absolutely surprising, but it was because Dobbs was in. So there you go. That says everything we need to know. On paper, I would probably have to give this game to Green Bay just because I don't really trust Kyler Murray. I really don't. I don't think, he has it in him at this point to go out there and compete at the level that he needs to. Now, this next one, though, week 7, oof. Jordan Love, Green Bay Packers, Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. This Houston Texans team is going to be nice. I think this will be a good battle. I do think that, the Texans have a little bit stronger of an offense, and this could, be a high-scoring game for sure. But, I'm going to go with the Texans on that one. Now, they're going against the Jags as well in Week 8. So they're going against the Jags Week 8. And this is another one where it's 50-50 because Trevor Lawrence is so hit or miss. Is he having, is he going to be injured, right? That's a question. Is he going to lose his focus, right? Is he going to not really be able to get his game going in the middle of the season? And that's the thing that we see with, Trevor Lawrence over the years. He's been able to show up, and obviously changes with their offenses. It could prove some kind of a difference in, their chemistry and how he's affected by that. I do think that picking up Gabe Davis is going to be nice for him because he's got somebody that can actually catch the deep ball. This could be a good game, but I do think that, the Jags will ultimately succumb to the Packers. Week 9, Detroit Lions. I got the Lions doing some good things next year. I get Green Bay and what they've been able to do, but I do think that the Lions are going to come back this year very, very stronger, much stronger, and take care of business. So I'm going to take the Lions in Week 9. Week 10, they'll get into the bye, and then I'll go and hop into the chat with you guys before we get through the rest of the season. Where we at? Becky says, rookie quarterback struggle in this league. So, it's hit or miss because, truth be told, Becky, if you're playing at a certain level coming out of college, you still, even at an elite level, you still have to transfer over and play at NFL speed. You still have to transfer over and play against these DBs and these corners. And you have to understand that the speed of the game is going to be much different from how it was in college. So when these guys step out on that field in week 1, some of these guys look like they're going to be absolute trash, right? C.J. Stroud was one of those individuals, and a lot of people were saying, oh, he's a bust and this, that, and the third. And I did say, hey, let's give it some time. Let's see what C.J. Stroud does. And he cleaned it up and he got better. Now, on the flip side, you look at someone like Bryce Young. Now, I'm not saying that Bryce Young is trash, but what I am saying is Bryce Young has his issues because of the height. He has his issues because of, not being able to see over the line. He's got, arm strength issues. And when it matters the most, you're going to be able to pick certain details out of what's going on with him throughout the season, especially now having tape on him. So unfortunately, that's why I said for the Panthers, I don't see them having a good year at all. Unless something totally changes, it's going to be really, really bad for the Panthers. But yeah, it's finding a rookie who comes out in their first year and just absolutely tears it up is like finding a diamond in the rough. And, we definitely see that out of certain individuals, but those individuals have put in the work. They've taken the time to develop. They've got excellent mentors. They got people behind them. And 9 times out of 10, they're working on their craft so much that they can only go out there and be better than the other rookies in their class. And we see that. Shout out to Jay Thorns, says that is the best take I've seen on the Bears so far. I think the defense is underrated and the weapons are elite, but Caleb's a rookie that hasn't proven himself yet. Great take, bro. Shout out to you, Jay Thorns. Thanks a lot, man. Yeah. Like I said, as for the Bears, it looks promising. It always looks promising. Except this year it does look more promising than what it normally has. So, they got some good opportunity there. I think that, if you're a Bears fan, you can be have some optimism about it. But I would say make it cautious optimism going into next season so you don't get your heart broken. You should know how that go. Ernie, what up, yo? What's going on with you? Lisa says, I'm very confident the Ravens are Super Bowl 59 champs. I'm calling it right now, Jay. Lisa, I see you. I see you. They could have did it last year, but, Lamar Jackson couldn't close the deal. He froze up when it mattered the most, and, he went out the wrong way. And it's sad because the Ravens had a true shot. They did. They did. Mr. B says Dolphins checking in 14-3. Okay, Mr. B, shout out to you, bro. Tennessee Tactical in the house says Friday night NFL. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Let me get back into this schedule, and then I'll get back in the chat with y'all. So as far as Week 11, going against the Bears, now we've been talking about them, right? We've been talking about Caleb Williams and this team and this offense and, the defensive troubles. And this is the height of football. These two teams going at each other is literally what rivalries and all the hype is all about. So, when you have a situation with Green Bay and the Bears, especially after a Green Bay bye week, you're normally looking at a complete and absolute massacre of the Bears. Now, there's a difference. Right? You've got a whole new team this year, a whole new scheme. You've got the Bears coming into this thing a little different because of who's going to be on that other side on the offense. I'll tell you this right now. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I do think, though, it's going to be one of those situations where it does come down to the wire. We're all sitting on the edge of our seats, and it may come down to a field goal. Now, I say that because the Bears have such a great offense, potentially with Caleb, right? Let's just remove Caleb off the topic right now. When we talk about that offense, it's great. Absolutely great. You put any other, quarterback in there, veteran that's decent, he's going to take that team to the playoffs. Now, you talk about the defense, it's rough because you really don't know what to expect. There's been a lot of changes as far as defense. So the real question is, are they going to be able to keep up with Green Bay? And if Caleb Williams is the guy that can translate his talent that he had in college over to the NFL and keep that momentum and get something going, this could be that significant moment for him. This could be that game where he really, truly puts his name on the map, because everyone knows the Green Bay Bears rivalry is exactly what football is. And if you beat Green Bay, then I think you not only get the respect, but you also put the league on notice because Jordan Love was in the playoffs last year. So, I think that's one avenue of it. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say 50-50 here. I'm going to say I'm going to leave it right down the middle because you've got the heart on one side, and then you've got the talent on the other. Not to say that both sides ain't talented, but I think there's a little bit more talent and there's a little bit more heart. So there we go. Next after that's going to be San Francisco. Oof. This is crazy. So obviously you get through the Bears, whatever happens there. But then you go on to San Francisco 49ers come into your house in Green Bay. This is going to be in November, so it's most likely going to be a little cold, right? You've got the weather aspect. You've got last year's aspect, a little bit of bad blood. But the 49ers are just different. They're so different. Brock Purdy has been absolutely amazing. That whole team, Brandon Ayuk, obviously they're still trying to figure out negotiations and all that stuff. But even without him, right? Debo, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that squad right there has shown you that they are willing to put it all on the line to do what they need to do. And, when you look at Brock Purdy, we heard about the game managers and all that kind of stuff. I think that's gone now. I think that's thrown out the window. I think this kid can actually play ball. So the respect is due because of what he was able to do with this team, and not only the position that he's able to put himself in, but the consistency. The consistency is what is very important when it comes to these 49ers. So, yeah, going against the 49ers, I got to take the 49ers there because, there's a different team. Not to say that, Green Bay's not going to play a good game. But I think, in the long run, this is one that, 49ers could win by 1 or 2 touchdowns for sure. Next after that's going to be Miami, right? Going against the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa and company. He's got talent too. The defense could be solid. This is going to be, one where you're probably going to focus on Tyreek Hill. Tua's going to probably try to find Waddle. They're going to get that running game going. There's going to be a lot going on with Miami. And in this stretch, right, I want to say 3-game, maybe 4, right, after the bye. And I say maybe, it's like we're playing spades here tonight, right? Because you got 3 in the possible, and the possible is the Bears. It's just the reality of it. But when you look at the 49ers, you look at the Dolphins, you look at the Lions, Green Bay's got some work cut out for them. Now, Miami's tricky too as well because obviously we're looking at it from a point of view. Tua stays healthy, Hill's healthy, Waddle's healthy. These guys are all ready to go. I think, a healthy Miami is going to be very difficult for Green Bay to beat because Miami's got that speed. And if they get things going, they can run that score up pretty fast. So I will sway more towards Miami in this one, barring everyone's healthy. Next after that, week 14, they play the Lions again. So the real question is on this one, right? It's going to be Thursday night, December. These are the games that start getting into, playoff implications and things like that. The question for me, for this one, for me at least, is, is Dan Campbell coaching at his best level, right? Is he still making those crazy, irrational decisions? Or is he playing a little bit more methodically when it comes to the decision-making and the tight moments when he needs to? Because don't get me wrong, Matt LaFleur is a hell of a coach too when it matters, in these last moments in the season. And this team can very well be back in the playoffs as well if they, get some momentum going. But I will say this. I think the Lions and Green Bay will split. I'm not sure if it's going to be Green Bay taking the first one, Lions take the second one. Or, Lions take the first one, Green Bay takes the second one, but I do think it's going to be a split. After that's going to be the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are a team that has talent. The quarterback issue for me is what really puts me into a situation of saying I'm not sure what the Seahawks are going to do. Defensively, I know they can battle it out, but I'm going to give the edge to Green Bay there. Saints, Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara. Anyone want to tell me what they expect out of the Saints, right? What the hell is Michael Thomas doing, right? Saints, they're just not a team that I'm really worried about this year, and I don't think they're really going to do too much. I could be wrong. Derek Carr could just come out and change things around, but from what I've seen over the years and Derek Carr's career, he's fine with being paid and being mediocre. So I'm going Green Bay in Week 16. Then they'll face Minnesota again, Week 17. Like I said, it could be a split situation. And then obviously the Bears again in Week 18. And for the most part, I look at the schedule, the Green Bay Packers being the solid team that they are, I think they're going to have a decent season. There is going to be some significant challenges. There is going to be some moments where, if someone's not playing up to par or they're not able to find the will to win, it may be, an easy victory for one of these or some of these other teams. But for the most part, Green Bay looks ready. And I think this season they're going to do numbers for sure, without a doubt. Let me hop into these comments and then we'll get over to the Texans. Ladies and gentlemen. Charles Hanna, what up, yo? What's going on with you? Becky says Packers are better this year than last. I agree. Legendary says, bro, you all Bengals players for fantasy. Well, we'll get into fantasy soon. I'm actually going to drop the fantasy link for you guys. We do our fantasy every year. I'm going to put that up for you in the next 2 weeks. So we'll get the free fantasy going. And you guys know I do a cash giveaway, winner take all. So we'll get the 2 fantasies going for you guys in 2 weeks. Ernie says Alvin and his Chipmunks will lay a beat down on opposing D's if the game is played in an elevator. New Orleans is playing for draft position, without a doubt. It's bad. It's bad. I haven't even got to the Saints yet in our 32 and 31. But when I do, I'm going to cook because it's been terrible. I used to like the Saints. I did. I used to like the Saints. Just from a point of respect for Drew Brees and Sean Payton. But, Brees left, Payton's gone, and the Saints team has just been nothing but in shambles since. They got to figure it out. But, yeah, let's go ahead and get into these Texans. Let's go ahead and get into these Texans. All right, Houston. Now, we know that this team was kind of shaky from the start, right? We didn't really know what to expect out of CJ, and there was a lot of people saying that he was going to be a bust and, that this team wasn't going to go anywhere. People were saying that Davis Mills was going to do better than CJ Stroud. It was wild. But then something changed, right? CJ Stroud got it together. He figured it out. You started seeing him completely turn things around and ball out. And then obviously, Houston ends up in the postseason. Things didn't obviously work out the way that you'd wanted to. But I think from the point of reference, looking at last season and getting to that point, you couldn't ask for anything more out of CJ Stroud without a doubt. So now you got a couple more pickups, right? You got a veteran in Stephon Diggs. He comes over. The defense has changed some things around as well. Yeah, this is a different team, and this is going to be a competitive team and a challenging team coming into this next season. So let's go ahead and get into some of these stats. As far as Stroud, he had 4,108 yards. You had Devin Singletary with 898 on the run. Collins with 1,297 on the receiving. Now, for those who know, y'all know I rock with Devin Singletary. Unfortunately, he did lead the Bills. Then he goes over to the Texans and balls out. Same thing with Zach Moss. He went over to the Colts and balled out. We'll get into that later. But it's refreshing to see, these individuals obviously leave a team where they were basically underutilized and then go on somewhere else and still have a full steam ahead and do what they need to do to get their team across the hump. And that's exactly what Singletary did. But getting into Stroud, 319 of 499 attempts, 63.9% on the completion percentage, 8.2 on the average, 75 long, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I mean, that point is phenomenal. The 23-5 is great. You look at the sacks, you say, 38, you're right. You don't want to see him get sacked that many times. But for what he was able to do, I mean, you kind of forgive it. The kid's running around. He is going to make some mistakes. So I think the sacks are probably forgiven, to be honest, by getting to the postseason. Obviously, you look at on the rushing side of things, Singletary, 216 of 898. 4.2 was the average, as long as 24. He had 4 touchdowns. He did have a fumble. But, I mean, not that bad, right? He had double the production of Pierce, who had 416 yards. So, what are you going to do? And then Stroud also had 3 more touchdowns and on the rushing side of things. So with Tank Dell, we'll obviously get to him on the wide receiver side of things. And Collins, right? Collins had a great year, 80 receptions, 109 targets, 1,297 yards. His average was 16.2. That's crazy. That means when he catches the ball, it's a first down, like almost every time. He had 8 touchdowns, as long as 75. Getting into Dell, he was 47 to 75. He has 709 yards. His average was 15.1. He had 7 touchdowns, long as 68. The defense is in trouble. Looking at Schultz, right? We know Schultz was over with the Cowboys, left. Now he's with the Texans. He was 59 to 88, 635 yards. He was averaging 10.8. He had 5 touchdowns. This team is different. It's very different. You don't get these kind of numbers out of the majority of people that, is on wide receiver, especially an average that high. It's absolutely amazing. So CJ Stroud has the weapons. He definitely can ball. We've seen it. He's good under pressure. He can move out of the pocket. He can throw on the run. He's got a deep ball. So there's a lot that the Houston Texans have going for them. And then obviously, we get into the defense. Cashman, Harris, Petrie, Perryman, Nelson, Tuatu, Greener, Thomas, Ward, King II, Anderson Jr. These guys definitely contributed to the team. Now, if we get into the depth chart, before we get into the schedule, obviously next year it's going to be C.J. Stroud, Joe Mixon. You're obviously hoping that Joe Mixon is able to come in and play his best game. Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, Troy Hairston, Laramie Tunzel, Kenyon Green, Juice Scruggs, Shaq Mason, and Titus Howard. Yeah, I like the Texans. There are some things that this team is going to have to clean up. For instance, you don't want C.J. Stroud getting sacked 38 times. And I think coming into next season, right, this offensive line is going to work a little harder. I do think they're going to make, some significant changes to make sure that C.J. Stroud is protected a little bit more. So, yeah, without a doubt, I got to give, their offense a solid, I want to say B+. I can't say, A- or A because, it's a lot of sacks. And those sacks led to some fumbles and things like that. And, when you have those kind of situations, it leads to points on the other side. And that's not what you want to have. It's not what you want to have, obviously. So, yeah, for the most part, though, B+ on the offense for these Texans going into next season. As for the defense, Will Anderson, Foley Fatukasi, Danico Autry, Daniel Hunter, Christian Harris, Aziz Algier, Henry Tuato, Derek Stingley Jr., Jimmy Ward, Jalen Petrie, Jeff Okuda, and Miles Bryant. Getting to the special teams, Kami Fairburn, Tommy Townsend, Desmond King II, Damian Pierce, and John Weeks. As far as the defense, I'm going to give him a B. I'm going to B as well. I'm going to give the team a solid B coming into next season. There are some significant things that obviously, this team needs to change. But for the most part, C.J. Stroud coming out and playing the way that he did and this team rallying behind him, they had a great season last season. Hopefully they can extend that into this next season, keep some momentum going, and we'll see what happens. Now let's go and get to the schedule because we're not done. We still got one more team to go through, but let me hop into this chat real quick. Hop into the chat. Nick Morris says Packers still sweep the Bears, but both games will be close. I'm not mad at you, Nick. Not at all, because like I said, at the end of the day, when it comes down to the Bears, the question mark is Caleb Williams. And yeah, we could talk about the defense and, the points that they normally allow and certain situations like that. But everything changes, obviously, coming into next season. So if I'm giving the Bears a fresh slate, which is what everybody should do, if I'm giving the Bears a fresh slate, then I'm saying, okay, you guys have a solid offense. The defense is a little questionable, but your real significant concern is going to be Caleb Williams. Right? And we'll know right off the bat. We'll know week 1, week 2, right? Because you give them week 1. You give them week 1 and, you're getting in there. You're going to have some moments. You got to get the jitters off you. We get that. Week 2, it's like, okay, we're expecting to see some kind of improvement based on the issues that you had in week 1. And then obviously for you to gain some focus and confidence based on your skills. Week 3, right? Week 3, all right, you've got your feet wet. You should know how to perform and operate, now by week 3. And also by week 3, you probably have a situation where it's going to be like a big moment for you to overcome, and it's going to test who you are. Week 4. Now, this is where I look at a rookie quarterback in their first season, and I really look into, all right, this is where they're good at, this is where they're bad, and this is how the season is most likely going to go based on that. So by week 4, if Caleb Williams is ready, we'll know. If he isn't ready, obviously we'll know. But we'll have a truly better understanding as far as what's going to happen with Green Bay based on those first 4 games. And that's the reality of it. And obviously, you guys know we adjust our predictions on a week-by-week basis. So by all means, this, is just our opinion, and we're just talking about the games and football, what we love to do. But it could change, right? I could have a whole different description of Caleb Williams come week 1. When we do our week 1 predictions and we break everything down, our week 2 predictions and we break everything down, so forth and so on. So it could be a conversation of, yeah, Caleb Williams is absolutely phenomenal and the Green Bay Packers are in trouble. Or it could be like, all right, Caleb Williams is playing like absolute shit, and yeah, Green Bay is going to put the hurting on him. But we'll get into that soon. For sure. Shout out to Chris, says, what up, Jay? My favorite person on UT football is coming back. I love it. Let's go. Shout out to you, Chris. I think our team's looking pretty good, but our covers are pretty good, but we can work into the season. Let's go, Bills Mafia. Bills Mafia in the building. Let's go. J0 says 8-1 2024, 8 p.m. the Houston Texans versus Bears preseason kickoff. I will be streaming that game, so make sure you lock it in. If you are new, make sure you hit that like, that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Click that bell, turn on your notifications. All right, let's go and get to the Texans schedule. For the most part, starting off real fast. You got the Colts week 1. Anthony Richardson and company. I think this is going to be a good one. You've got Richardson coming back off the injury. Week 1, this is going to boil down to, like I said before, how well he has his confidence in coming over or overcoming that injury. From a team standpoint, I think the Colts will be strong. The question is he ready? So you have the same kind of situation. Is Anthony Richardson actually ready to come into and play at this level? Because don't get me wrong, Texans are going to come out strong, without a doubt. So if the injury is still in the back of the mind of Richardson and he hasn't found the time to overcome it and step out on that field with a whole new mindset, that could be, the crutch. That could be the issue of why the Colts may not be able to get over that hump. If he can, then I do see this being a close game. I do see this being a game where, we could be on the edge of our seats, down to the wire. But I will lean more towards, Houston. I do think they have way more talent. CJ Stroud is playing at a different level. And I think that, with Anthony Richardson coming off of that injury, not really having a true time to build, a lot of chemistry with this team on the actual field. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Texans there. Now against the Bears, like I said, we talked a lot about Caleb Williams. I'm not going to change my stance on it. I do think that this is going to be week 2. He's going to be in development mode. I'm going to have to give it to the Texans there. Week 3, very interesting against the Minnesota because, like I said, are we looking at Sam Darnold or are we looking at J.J. McCarthy? Sam Darnold, I got to go with the Texans. You put in J.J. McCarthy, that may change things up as far as, the scheme and everything, as far as, the defense. J.J. McCarthy coming into the game, you really don't know what to expect, so he could shock you. This really depends on who's playing quarterback. If we get Sam Darnold, I'm going with the Texans. J.J., I'm at 50-50 against the Vikings. Texans against the Jags. This could be a good one. Trevor Lawrence, he normally can start off hot, and you run into some issues with Jacksonville. That defense figures you out. There's now some tape on CJ Stroud, right? You know what to expect. You know the way he moves. You know how he rolls out. That Jags defense can definitely get at you, and that could be a problem if that O-line doesn't give Stroud the time that he needs. And this could be a good one. I'm going to lean a little bit more towards the Jags because they do have this way of surprising. They will surprise you. It doesn't matter how strong of a team you are. We've seen what they did with the Bills. We've seen what they did with KC. I'm going to lean up to the Jags on that one because I think they'll surprise. Next after that is going to be the Bills. The Bills. Yeah, I just had to give a quick thought to this one because y'all know what's going on with these Bills. You're expecting a whole new wide receiver group. You're hoping that your defense is healthy enough. You're hoping that Sean McDermott has really figured things out for this team moving forward. And you hope that Brandon Beane has really nailed the draft. I think it's going to be a problem. I think that the Bills going to Texas and playing against these Texans is going to be a true challenge. Going into the Texans' home, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Obviously, we will be streaming this. Shout out to the Bills Mafia. It's tough for me because the unbiased me is saying that the Texans may take this game based on everything that we've seen and what's going on. But my bias side, which I don't give out often, y'all know that. I think the Bills in this one could squeak it out at the end. Josh Allen run, touchdown, something like that. But for the most part, if we're talking from a point of everything that's going on chemistry-wise and where the Bills are and how things have to come together, I just think the Texans have a better team on paper. And so you're basically looking at the battle of Texans, the whole team, versus what we call Josh Allen's talent. And I think that's the reality of it. Shout out to Chris, says, let's go. The drafted us. Nice, Jay, but if we don't adapt, if Josh Allen doesn't have good relationship with his offense, we're going to have to have the defense strong. That's a fact. So, yeah, I mean, I'm leaning more towards the Texans on this one simply because they have the better team chemistry-wise. It could be a battle. It could go down to the wire, but I'm leaning Texans. Week 6 against New England. I mean, new coach, everything's changing. We still don't know who's going to be starting for New England. I think they're in the same kind of situation that the Saints is in right now. They're not going to be good. So I'm going to go with the Texans there. Texans versus Green Bay. We just talked about this one. Same thing. It doesn't change. I think this is, like I said, a 50-50 game for sure. Leaning more towards the Texans. Obviously, after that, they'll rematch Richardson and company. Now, this could be one of those situations where they swap because these divisional matches are very, very hard to figure out because you can have one team that plays absolutely terrible and the first time they match up and then, things just come together and stuff gets figured out and someone gets lucky. You know how it goes. So, yeah, I mean, I do think they could probably, split. I think that's the reality of it. That's week 8. Getting into week 9, the Jets, right? The Jets. This will be Thursday night. Obviously, we will be streaming this game. What the hell is Aaron Rodgers going to do? That's what this boils down to, right? It's very easy to answer this question. Is Aaron Rodgers playing at his game? Is the Jets defense playing at their level? Yeah, it's easy to give this one to the Jets, even though we know that it'll be a close game. But if Aaron Rodgers is not playing at his level and that injury is still affecting him, or the defense has went to sleep by week 9, yeah, I could definitely see the Texans completely mopping the Jets, 100%. So being that I'm not sure that Aaron Rodgers is going to be that same quarterback that we all know and loved, I'm going to go with the Texans against the Jets in week 9. Week 10 against the Lions. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Sunday night, we're going to be streaming this one as well. Sunday night, November 10th. It's going to be a dogfight. Now, with all the talent that the Texans have, I'm swaying way over to the Lions because Jared Goff, he's going to be hungry this season, more hungry than he already has. He's had that little taste. You get that little taste and it's really, really good. And now you're like, you know what? I got to go back for more. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I could talk about, but I'm going to keep it PG, keep it food. You know, when you had a really good steak and like you cut that first piece and it's so good, it's seasoned perfectly, it's cooked perfectly, it don't need no steak sauce. That's where the Lions are right now. They had that taste. And don't get me wrong, yes, the Texans had the taste too, but I think the Lions are a way more complete team when it comes to their offense and their defense. And on a Sunday night, I can see the Lions definitely coming out with the victory in this one, so I'm going to roll with the Lions there. Texans against Dallas. This is a good one. Back-to-back good ones for sure. Matter of fact, all three are good because you get Aaron Rodgers, you get Jared Goff, and then you get Dak Prescott. So don't get me wrong. If you go back to the Jets game, sure. If Aaron Rodgers is in, it's going to be a hell of a game. I just don't see them playing at the same level. I just don't. But with that said, you've got Goff and then Dak Prescott. This is where we look at whether or not Dak Prescott truly, truly has it in him. You're looking at CJ Stroud. He's coming through. He's tearing it up. And are you going to sit back and not finish? Are you still going to be that quarterback of America's team that still can't figure it out when it matters the most? Sure, you can beat up on the Giants. Sure, you can win against the Lions in a controversial game. But can you actually beat the Texans on a Monday night? Can Dak Prescott do that? Drop it in the chat. I want to see what y'all got to say. Drop it in the chat. Can Dak Prescott beat this Texans team on a Monday night in Dallas? In the Dome. Can they do it? Drop it in the chat. Let me know. I mean, I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so is because as many moments as we've seen Dak Prescott have when it was down to the wire, especially last year, he completely dropped the ball. Pun intended. And I think Stroud is hungry in his new career. The Texans are going to have a lot to prove next year. So I'm going to ride Texans with this one. And to be honest, I'm just not sure this Dallas defense is really going to be up to par. I don't think they're going to perform the same way they did last year. And so that's going to leave things wide open for a more dominant and hungry team to come in, and especially coming into their home to take care of business. Without a doubt. Okay, 45 says no. CJ has my respect. I see you, bro. I see you. Week 12 against Tennessee. Tactical, you know I love you, bro. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure about, Will Levis yet. He's got to prove himself, You know how we do. We approach this on a week by week basis once we get to the regular season. But I'm not sure about the Titans against going against this powerhouse. They could surprise us, but for the most part, I think Texans will take that one. Next after that, it's going to be the Jags, right? Get back to the Jags once again. They'll play in week 4. They'll rematch in week 13. This is going to be right before bye week. But depending on, how strong this Titans game is for you guys, they may loosen you up a little bit for the Jags. And I do think that the Jags may take it, early on. So this could, be some payback maybe. Or who knows, Trevor may have the Texans number. We'll just have to see. Obviously, week 14 is going to be the bye week, so they'll rest. Week 15, they'll get into Miami. This is going to be huge, right? Because is their defense going to be able to handle Waddle, Hill, and that speed over there? Are they going to be able to handle that running game? There's a lot of opportunity and weapons that Miami has. And then when their defense is clicking, it can be very difficult because, like I said before, Miami is a team that can definitely run it up very quick. And this is getting down to the wire when it matters the most. And these next games are going to be very significant and are going to have playoff implications. I do think that, based on what I can expect from Tua coming into this next season, if he's still playing the same level and the same way that he was last season, I think that can be problematic. I think that the defenses can figure that out and, play on that and make Tua struggle. And if that happens, then, yeah, I'm going to ride with the Texans on this one. After that, it's going to be KC going up against the Super Bowl champions. This is going to be a Saturday game, 1 p.m. Obviously, you guys know we'll be streaming this one, getting down to the wire. What can I say about Kansas City? I mean, there's nothing I really can say because I can't hate on Patrick Mahomes. He's been doing exactly what he needs to do to win. I can't hate on Travis Kelce because, he's going to catch the ball and he's going to pick up a first down. I mean, the situation with Rice, I'm sure he's coming back. So, do we really even have any questions there? I mean, Pacheco, who runs like a 5-year-old, but, will run you over like a 5-year-old. Yeah, I mean, it's Kansas City. I think that the Texans are, this will be probably one of those low-scoring, dragged-out games. They'll go back and forth for a little while, but KC will find some momentum, especially in Arrowhead. That's how it goes. The stadium gets loud. Andy Reid's, a chess master. And, if you're unable to play at his level and at his pace, then you're probably going to lose. So I'm going to take Kansas City there just because it's Kansas City. After that's going to be Baltimore. Baltimore, right? The Ravens. Lamar, Derrick Henry, obviously changes at the offensive line. So, we'll see how much time they have back there. But Baltimore's defense is strong. You've got Flowers. You've got a solid tight end. You've got these individuals who have meshed together and have great chemistry. The only problem for Baltimore for me right now is, their O-line. Are they still going to have that solid ability and get these guys together coming into, next season and ready for these very significant games? And keep in mind, this is a game on Wednesday, Christmas Day, at 4:30, and I will be streaming it, but it's going to be on Netflix. For those who didn't catch this, like how that rhymed, it is going to be on Netflix. This is the first time that I think that we have ever watched and streamed a Netflix game together. This is crazy, but I will be streaming it like we always do next season. But this is going to be on Netflix. This is crazy. It's absolutely insane. So now when we stream these games and when we go live, I have to have Amazon, which I already have, Peacock, already have, Netflix, already have, NFL Plus for some of the or ESPN Plus for some of the overseas morning games. I have to get that. I've got the YouTube TV. I already have that. It's another one. I think there's like a NFL Plus or something like that you have to have for a couple specific games. So it's getting a little out of hand, just a little bit. But after that, after the next Netflix game, you've got Tennessee Titans, Week 18, and we'll have to see how that goes. So, Houston Texans. What are we going to say about this schedule? I think the Texans have their work cut out for them, 100%. I don't think any of these games are truly, truly easy except maybe one. And that's New England, right? Even though I know Richardson's coming back off of the injury, I think that he's going to be surprising because no one's really going to know what to expect. And then, of course, with the Bears, right? Caleb Williams, same thing. We really don't know what to expect out of Caleb. We know he's got a solid offense, but we really don't know what the production's going to come from that. Minnesota, like I said, J.J. McCarthy's in the same situation. If McCarthy plays and Sam Darnold doesn't, this can change things. And then, of course, Jags. You've got Lawrence, who's trying to come back this year and do something. Going against the Bills. Obviously, New England is what it is. But then you got Green Bay. Then you've got the Colts again. And then Jets. Obviously, if Aaron Rodgers is playing at his best level, there you go. Then the Lions, Cowboys. You see where I'm going with this. It's going to be very, very challenging for the Texans. And, if they do miss a beat and if they go cold for multiple, weeks, especially with some of these weaker teams, when they do face the strong teams, it could be very, very bad. And it could get interesting. Now, I don't see that happening because obviously based off last year and things really haven't changed for the Texans. They picked up some solid pieces to help them, not hinder them. So I don't see that happening. I don't see them having a bad season at all. But, we don't know what's going to happen injury-wise. We don't know, situations are weird sometimes. When you think you have it figured out, things change. That's a fact. But, yeah, I think next season is definitely going to be challenging, without a doubt, for the Texans. Niall, what up, yo? What's going on with you? Jamel says Chiefs need more weapons. I agree. I think the big thing about the Chiefs, though, is, Patrick Mahomes wants to get paid his money. And when you start bringing other people in, or, when you want veterans that actually can contribute to the team, you got to pay them. You got to give them some money. And Mahomes is like, nah, I'll take my money and I'll figure it out with who I got. So, I respect it, because at the end of the day, if you can do what he's doing, no one's going to complain about it. It's just the reality of it. Father Time, what up, yo? What's going on with you? Sorry, Jay, late to the show. Who's the pick this year? Ooh, you talking about for the Super Bowl? I can't even do it yet, bro. I can't do it. You know me. I don't do my Super Bowl predictions until we halfway in the season. I'm not even comfortable talking about the Super Bowl until halfway through the season. But you know what I am comfortable talking about next up? These Colts. This is going to be the last team on the list for tonight. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. I do appreciate you all for rocking with us as we get into these Colts next. Ladies and gentlemen, Colts next. Shout out to you, Angela. What up, yo? What's going on with you? All right. Indianapolis Colts. We've seen a promising young rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson go down, injured, gone. Completely gone. And we were robbed, cut short of seeing his talent and seeing his promise displayed on the field. Well, he hopefully has gotten through his injury. He'll be coming in the next season ready to go, hopefully, for a full season. And we'll have to see how this goes, right? We really don't have a true idea as far as what to expect from Richardson, because we haven't truly seen him in significant moments. We do know that Gardner Minshew showed up. We do know that Zach Moss showed up. But for the most part, the Colts were a question mark. They did do a lot of good things, but I do think without Anthony Richardson, they weren't able to get over that hump. So let's go ahead and get into the schedule. We ain't going to waste no time. All right, as for the Colts, next season, week 1 is going to be against the Texans. Just like I said, as far as, with what the Texans have, and from an offensive point and a defensive point, the real question mark on this specific game is how ready Anthony Richardson is. If he comes in fired up, if he comes in focused, if he comes in ready to go, and he's essentially let go of the idea of how that injury could hold him back, then I think he could show up in this game in a significant way. You've got the Texans in your house. You're coming back. This is your opportunity to show the world that if you would have played last year, you would have been the one. And, you're doing it against C.J. Stroud. I think that makes it a little bit more significant as well. But like I said, I do think at the end of the day, this is you coming back week 1. You're going to have some struggles. You're going to have some jitters. And I think the Texans are going to take advantage of that. So I'm going to take Texans week 1. Week 2, obviously Green Bay. Same thing. You're going to Green Bay. You know, Jordan Love, he's riding on some momentum. They went to the postseason. They've got a strong offense, strong defense as well. I could definitely see where, you know, Richardson's getting his feet wet. This Colts team's putting something together. And, you know, it could be close, but I do give the edge there to Green Bay. Getting into the Bears, this is, you know, it's different. Once again, these are the 3 teams that we've been talking about tonight: the Packers, Texans, and the Bears. And now you got the Colts going up against, you know, the Texans, Packers, and the Bears back to back. Caleb Williams is my concern. He's really my only question mark besides the defense for the Bears. But, you know, overall, if Caleb Williams is the man and he can step up for the Bears, then I think that defense is going to play harder for him, because they'll have some kind of, you know, something to fight for. They'll have a dream to fight for sure. If that doesn't happen, I think that these Colts are definitely more than capable of going out there and taking care of business against the Bears for sure. Because if you have the talent, which we know the Bears do, but you're not able to execute, well, then what's the point anyways? It doesn't matter, you know? You got a bike with no wheels, and it sucks. But that's just the reality of it. So, you know, I would like to say, yeah, I think that the Bears will obviously go into Indianapolis and beat the Colts with ease. But I do think that this is probably more of a game that's evenly matched based upon the fact that Anthony Richardson's coming back, and then you've got a brand new Caleb Williams stepping out on the field in his 3rd week. So I'm a 50-50 there. But just off experience, I would probably have to go Bears just a little bit. All right. After that's going to be the Steelers. This is crazy because we don't really understand or would know what to expect out of Pittsburgh right now, especially with, you know, them having 2 quarterbacks that could very well be the starters, right? Russell Wilson could be the starter. Justin Fields could be the starter. But the Steelers are a solid team as well, right? Good offense, defense, diehard defense, willing to go out there and step up and put it all on the line. This could be a really good one as well. You know, I think the Bears and the Steelers are definitely going to be blockbuster games for the Colts because these are going to be proving grounds. Obviously, you know, these first 4 games, first 5, if you want to add the Jags in there, I think these are going to be the character development games for Richardson, right? You're going to have a tough battle against the Texans. You're going to have a tough battle against the Packers. Bears, you know, might be a little bit less of a challenge, but still a challenge because Caleb Williams. Steelers, obviously, you put the veteran out there. I do think that Russell Wilson, you know, he's known to step up in these kind of moments and play solid, especially if he's got some people he can trust. So, you know, that could be tough on that Colts defense, and that could make it a little bit more challenging for Richardson. So, you know, I would probably lean more towards the Steelers in this case. The Jags, yeah, I think that defense on the Jags will make, you know, things difficult for the Colts. Week 5, we'll have more of a sample, obviously, by that time, and maybe I can adjust things, you know, depending on how it goes. But for the most part, we know ball. And if we understand a rookie coming off of his quarterback and what he's rookie quarterback coming off of his injury and what we expect out of that quarterback to do coming into his next season, and hopefully it could be a full season, you're literally hoping when this man steps out on the field that he doesn't get re-injured. So, yeah, he's going to play, you know, gingerly. He's not going to, I think, give it 100%. I do think, you know, he's going to try to play his game, try to get in it. But I do think that's the biggest question. So, yeah, you know, I'm going to take the Jags there. Tennessee, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. That's probably one of the most even matches that he has coming into this season, week 6, in which I think defensively the Titans could edge this one out. We've seen time and time again whenever the Colts and the Titans play, it's very crazy. It's always crazy. But I think the Titans will take that one. I'm going to take Miami. I don't think the Colts are really ready for that. We talked about the Texans already. I think the Texans, once again, will take this one. The Vikings after that, right? Vikings week 9. Where it's very, very difficult to, put any kind of decision making on Richardson right now, considering all the talent that some of these next teams have, and just the hunger that it's going to take and the ability to overcome some of these situations. It's really going to be a true test for Anthony Richardson. I want to see it. I want to see it because obviously if he comes out there and he's able to play the best that he can, and this team's able to rally behind him the way that we know they should, he very well could surprise everybody, 100%. But on paper, right, the Vikings should take this game. The Bills should take that game. Aaron Rodgers, he'll be coming off an injury too. This is week 11. If he's made it this far and he's playing his game, Jets defense is very solid. Yeah, I can see the Jets taking that one. And then the Lions, I can see the Lions taking this one as well in week 12. So, what do you got? You've got, if I go back here, maybe the Bears, maybe Pittsburgh, maybe Titans, New England. You got the bye week 14. I mean, I'll give you Denver. Denver fans got me mad right now. I'll give the Colts Denver for sure, just because they have 3 quarterbacks and none of them are trustworthy. So there you go. I'll give the Colts Denver for sure. Tennessee Titans again. Maybe they split, right? Maybe they split. I was watching workout tape on Daniel Jones, and he was absolutely terrible. I was watching workout tape, and I've never seen a quarterback look like they're struggling in workouts. Like, he was doing so much on this tape, and it was just kind of like it was like he was hurried, and there was no defensive players on that field. It was insane. I got to take the Colts in this one against the Giants. And then after that, they go against the Jags again. So there you go. They go against the Jags again. So there it is. Joey says 7. Yeah, it's late. It's Sunday. People got work tomorrow. All that kind of stuff. But we had a nice crowd earlier. Nice crowd earlier. But I'm glad you're here, bro. Shout out to you, man. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's, to me, looking at these Colts, I think this is a situation for us to really look at more so week by week coming into the season, understand what's going on with Anthony Richardson and what this team is able to do. And then obviously, if he's not able to fulfill the job, or God forbid something else happens, someone else has to come in and step up for him, we'll just have to address it at that time. But I will say this. In favor of you, Lutza, shout out to you, Lutza. I do think that Anthony Richardson playing his best game will wow everybody, and that could make some of these games very interesting coming into next season. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for tonight. We covered the Packers, we covered the Texans, and the Colts. Make sure you drop it in the comments what you think about these teams, or about, what you think about your team. Make sure you drop it down below. Hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe. Click the bell, turn on your notifications so that you don't miss a stream. We'll see you tomorrow, right? We continue on. We're on day 15 of our 32 and 31, covering all 32 teams. And yeah, I think tomorrow. KC? Is tomorrow KC? Hold on, let me pull it up. What's tomorrow? What's tomorrow, Jay? No. Jags. Jags, then Kansas City. So tomorrow's the Jags. There you go. So everybody, shout out to you guys for rocking with us. Much love to the Wrench Gang. Much love to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. I do appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.